So I feel like NA has way worse mechanics, and I don't know if it's because of the ping, so they don't have as efficient practice in solo queue, or they don't play enough, or they just suck.
Second day of Rift Rivals right now. I'm joined right now by Jankos with coverage presented by OmniSlash. Talk a little bit about how things are shaping up. So G2 looking quite possibly like the best team at Rift Rivals right now. At least that's what it seems. I don't know how you feel.
I mean, I feel like we played kind of fine, but we made a lot of mistakes, especially day one against One Hand Thieves. I felt like we could have ended the game way sooner, and we misplayed a couple of team fights, or we just felt too cocky, and we would just, dive for kills instead of trying to finish the game. But today we kind of showed up, and we went 2-0, so I'm really happy with that. But to be honest, the first 2 days are not as important as the BO5, so we still need to perform well tomorrow.
Yeah. It's interesting because you're making it sound like this event is like you're here to win the event. Whereas I talk to a lot of players who are enjoying the event or they are trying to learn from the event, whereas you're like, it all comes down to tomorrow, right? It's like, that's the final day. That's the day that matters.
I mean, it's more like if I would lose, I would be like, yeah, it's so fun, I can just have chill in LA. But obviously, like the losers would say, that they're enjoying the event. But I think it's kind of true. I think that we came here to practice and not only to win. I think winning the event and showing that EU is better, it's like something we want to do for sure. But also we came here and we want to kind of learn from NA teams as well. And we want to improve for the summer split of EU LCS. Because to be honest, this tournament, in the big picture, it doesn't matter at all. Right. And we want to show up in Europe, and we want to win the European playoffs. The last time we got stomped by Fnatic, and right now we look like a better team than Fnatic. We did beat them last week. But I still think we have a lot to improve on, and I hope we will, get some experience from NA. This is also like first international event, or like an event even where we don't play in Europe. So far it's looking not too bad.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you. You said learning from NA. A friend of mine said that he feels as though Rift Rivals is becoming Team Liquid versus EU LCS. That it's just them sort of standing up and trying to hold the line. You guys just beat them, of course, but what do you think of that statement?
I mean, I think it's kind of true, even though I felt like we had way more issues against One Hand Thieves than we had against Team Liquid. I think after scrimming Team Liquid also, we felt like this is by far the best NA team, and they are also really good scrim partners because they are like practicing macro and they are playing on stage like in scrims. They don't look for stupid plays, and they just kind of play smart, and they are not too cocky either. So I'm happy with that. But also I feel like NA has way worse mechanics, and I don't know if it's because of the ping, so they don't have as efficient practice in solo queue, or they don't play enough, or they just suck. But like for sure, like I could feel that. We have players like Double Leaf that are really insane. No matter where he plays. But we have also players that are just not as good, and you can feel it in game where they just can't throw the skill shot. It's like so easy to juke it, or even in solo queue on challenger level, it just feels like so much easier than compared to EU.
Yeah. I like how you gave an example of good players, but you didn't give an example of a bad player. Like, there's good people like Double Lift, and then there's other players. Not calling anybody out for that.
I mean, yeah, I will not say any names because there will be a lot of them. Yeah. So I'll just stick to some of them are just not as good as European counterparts. Yeah. That's how I feel.
You know what is incredible is that the EU trash talk has evolved to a point where, like, it used to be like, yeah, the NA teams suck or whatever. Now you guys just speak matter-of-factly about it. You're like, yeah, we're over here practicing, and it's just hard because, like, the teams aren't very good. So you just throw it out there like it's nothing,
I mean, I think if this interview take place like 3 days ago, and it would be like pre-interview show, and I would say like, hey, and it sucks, that would be like kind of good to say. Yeah. But like right now, after we went 3-0, and me like bashing on NA teams and like saying that this player is bad, this player is bad, this player shouldn't play jungle, he should reroll. I think it's something I shouldn't say because it's just a little bit disrespectful. Yeah. Because opening your mouth after you win is like easy, kind of. But also we have still one more day tomorrow to play, and I'm pretty sure Azan Fnatic will dominate. So at least I can say that.
Sure.
And then we will lose.
Then you'll lose. Okay.
Now we lost. Yeah.
Now that you've made that prediction, I mean, I was the show open. I know you guys probably don't catch the show open, but like Jat, resident North American, he predicted all the EU teams to win today, which just felt like a stab in the back a little bit. It hurt. It hurt. It's interesting to me because I think Perks brought the same topic up in my interview yesterday, where he was like speculating, why is it that the NALCS players have worse mechanics? Is this something you guys are talking about behind the scenes? Like, is this a conversation on G2?
I mean, it was a conversation in G2, but also when you look, for example, at the mid lane role, I feel like Caps and Perks are like miles ahead compared to anyone else in this tournament when it comes to like just raw skill, you know? How can they play certain champions? And even though Caps is hinting a lot because he's just making stupid decisions and he wants to outplay people too much, I still feel like, you know, if he gets rid of that, he's like one of the best mid laners. And same goes for Perks. Like they are just like so much better. So I mean, I don't know why it happens. Like I said, maybe LA is just too much of a chill city and they just don't spend enough time actually like practicing the game. Also, when I spoke to Proli, he said that in NA, he feels like team, when you are better than the other team, let's say team A is better than team B, then every player from team A would be like really happy, but he wouldn't want to show you know, one of the opposite players that he's like actually better at the role, you know. So instead of pushing each other to become better, like, you know, we do in Europe usually, they just kind of accept that, you know, my team is just better, so I'm better as well.
So it's just like, instead of they just get carried, they're willing to be accepted basically getting carried by the rest of their team rather than like trying to surmount that player.
I mean, as well, but also maybe they just don't want to like they don't feel like they could be better because, you know, their team is better, or like basically they look at the opposite player and they feel like they are better even though they won as a team and not as individual, you know. For example, Wanderwear was stomping every lane in you know, Rift Rivals, and you know, he's pushing himself a lot to play better, and same goes for Perix, you know. I still remember Spring Speed finals when he would get 1v1 by Caps. I will not say demolished because he would be mad at me, but he got 1v1 by Caps, and you know, now he's like playing so much better as well. So I'm really happy that all of us are still trying, playing a lot of solo queue and just kind of, you know, not being too bad at the game and, you know, trying to still improve.
You almost makes it sound like you think NA players just kind of become complacent, like they just decide like, this is how I am, and they don't try to like really push themselves further.
You know, this is a word which I learned from Proli last year, actually. Yeah. He was trying to kind of explain the same thing as you just did. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I have to agree on that. Maybe, you know, they live in a nice city, you know, they have a lot of girls. They just kind of, you know, the weather is great. Yeah. LA is great. Food is great, by the way. Like, food is like, oh my God. Like yesterday I went out, oh my God, the food is just so good.
Where'd you go yesterday?
I went for like Wagyu steak.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, just the food and everything is so good. But I also ate a lot of fast food and just junk food. So I really like the food. My team doesn't like the food so much as I do, but maybe I'm just like a fat, skinny person, if that makes sense, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's just so fun here.
See, imagine you love the food here. Imagine me. I eat this food all the time, and then I have to go to Berlin for MSI, and I'm just like, well, I'll take the beef and potatoes, I guess. Like it's a struggle visiting Europe for me.
I mean, I don't think our food is that much worse, but I just think that in LA, there's so many restaurants and you can choose from so many things. Yeah. And it's the same when you order, you know, when you order stuff in Europe, you usually have to limit yourself to sushi or kebab or pizza or, you know, maybe that's it even. Yeah. And then in LA, you can just order everything, you know, Korean barbecue, you can order Japanese barbecue, just everything, just like everything. Yeah. So it's fun, you know. I like LA a lot. I mean, I've been here. I'm here second time now. The last time I was here on All Star last year, and I like it a lot. Yeah, I like LA. Yeah, it's
a lot of EU LCS players like LA a lot. This is what I've noticed. There's quite a few that decide to come over here and live over here. Would you ever consider, like, this is the interesting thing. I talked to Perks about this too. Perks like loves everything about LA. He's like, well, it's super hot today, but generally speaking, he like loves the weather. He's like, it's so nice, like so many cool people. The food is so good. And I asked him like, would you move over here and join LCS? He's like, maybe not for a couple years. But and then he was like, oh, but the solo queue is so bad. So he's like, actually, I'm never going to move here because the solo queue.
Yeah, I mean, the solo queue is really bad. It's not even because of the ping, at least for me, because my team is like complaining a lot. Yeah. When we are sitting and just like playing, they're just complaining so much. It's so annoying about the solo queue because of the ping. But I just feel like the players are just bad, you know. I don't feel like the ping is the problem. I just feel like the players themselves are like worse. When you go to, for example, to Korea, I think that's like the highest solo queue standards, you know. Everyone is just trying really hard and everyone is like really good at the game and you can actually like learn from people. In Europe, I feel like a lot of people are trying, and a lot of them are really good as well. So normally the quality of the game is not too bad, even though there is like some games that are just FF in 10, because compared to NA in Europe we surrender a lot when we see that the game is over. Yeah. But in NA they just write it's winnable, and I've heard that's became a meme like in pro players area where it's winnable even though it's really lost. But also I feel like the players are just like not as good, and maybe it's because of the ping, or maybe it's because of something else, and there's so many one tricks as well. So yeah, the solo queue is bad. The solo queue is probably the worst experience, but everything else is great. So it's a sacrifice.
Well, wrapping this up, but I do want to just go back to one thing you were saying. So you have a theory that maybe like life in LA is so nice and so comfortable that players might get distracted by this. This is crazy to me, because one thing I will say is like players out here do nothing except for play League of Legends. Like they triple block, they do all this stuff. I know from Europe, like players go out and they go drinking and they like party after LCS is done. And you mentioned girls. A lot of the guys over here just get girlfriends, but like over there, like I hear a lot of the guys go out and party and have a good time. So like it's crazy to me to hear like an EU players implying that like NA players are like just living it up over here.
Okay, so maybe this is like example from my team, but I don't feel like, I mean, okay, in Europe we have a lot of like not the best teams either, right? If we will have Rift rivals and we will have 10 teams against 10 teams, maybe it would look different. And also we don't actually know if Europe is better. We will see tomorrow. But I just feel like solo queue is worse for sure. And I feel like even though sometimes you scream 3 blocks, the screams are just so bad. Really? Like unbelievable. Like I had Team Liquid, so good, like insane. They are like the best scream partners. I could scream them every day, so insane. Like Xmiffy is a smart guy and stuff. But then you scream different teams, and like some of them are just not as good, And I think this is because the whole region is just like a little bit like lower level. It's not a big difference, It's not like as extreme as maybe it sounds. And so I think maybe after Rift Rivals, when a lot of the teams like 100 Thieves and Team Liquid and the Echo Fox as well, the teams that were here, they will like kind of pick up and they will like learn a little bit from Europe, or maybe we will learn a little bit from NA. I think both regions will be stronger again. So I overall like tournaments that are just kind of, both regions fighting each other. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like, we are still like behind Korea. Yeah. And we will see at Worlds. And, I don't want to be too cocky because we are winning now, but last split Fnatic just destroyed us, like I said. So I'm happy that we are trying, and NA is still good. So don't you worry, guys. They will pick up the slack probably, and keep in mind this tournament doesn't really matter at all. And just enjoy life.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for the interview. Really appreciate it. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. I want to thank OmniSlash so much for their support, because you know what, like it is. The travel costs. You guys know how expensive it was for me to cover MSI. The travel cost to come to Rift Rivals it's just insane. I don't know. It's amazing that they're helping me out, but if you want help out, you can click the links below, and just that's the type of stuff that will pay for me to be able to afford to go to Rift Rivals. So thanks so much.